This instructional video is to demonstrate how to change a suspension spring on a 400-day clock. First, we're going to identify the clock movement inside the Haralavar 400-day guide. This particular movement is a Werthner plate number 1594A. It uses a suspension spring of 0.004 inches and the unit is number 26. We can see inside the guide what the 26 looks like when it's fully assembled. It's important that the new suspension unit be the correct length and that the position of both the blocks and the fork are in the correct place. I'm removing the old suspension spring. This one had a thumb screw holding it in at the top. Sometimes it just has a taper pin. Now I'm removing the top block by unscrewing or just loosening the screws and slipping the spring out. It's important that you make sure that you get all of the spring out. Sometimes the bottom block breaks off, or the suspension spring breaks off at the bottom block, and a little bit of the spring is left inside. You want to make sure you get all of that out, because any spring material left inside one of the blocks or the fork will keep you from getting a good grip on the spring when you tighten down the block onto the new spring. Here we've removed both the blocks and the fork. Right now I've got a brand new pack of 0040 suspension springs. You can buy these on our website. I've taken out one spring and carefully put the other two back in. You want to make sure you don't get any bends or kinks in the spring when you're doing this work. It can be a little difficult the first few times you do this, putting it all together without damaging the spring. I put the fork on and I'm positioning it in the correct place on the spring. I'm going to tighten it down, not all the way, but just enough so it grips the spring. Okay, now I've got the fork on. I'm going to put the top block on and make sure that their positions match up with what I've got in the book here. I'm going to hold that block with one hand while I tighten the screws down. This way the spring won't spin around and get damaged. Now I've got my block and my fork on. I'm going to cut this spring to the correct length. I like to cut it right at about where the pin on the bottom block would be in the drawing. And usually it ends up just a little bit longer than I want, and I can snip off very small, like maybe a 32nd of an inch at a time until I get it exactly right. And I'm going to cut it just above that in the drawing where the pin is going to be, so that when I slip that bottom block on, the spring will go all the way down to the pin and I can see it through the hole. It's going to be right on top of the pin, and I'm going to tighten this down just enough to hold it in place. Now I've gripped that with a pair of parallel pliers so that I can tighten it down all the way. I'm checking the length to make sure that everything's in position and the length is correct. I put it on the clock, got the pendulum spinning, everything looks good. Here you can see the escapement going back and forth, letting one tooth go each time the pendulum rotates one direction. For clock parts or more information on clocks, go to our website, www.norkro.com. We sell the top blocks, bottom blocks, forks, and suspension spring material, as well as mainsprings, other materials for 400-day clocks, and all clocks in general. Thanks for watching.